Hello guys. Here is a continuation of my scrapyard haul. I will be taking apart 4 Xbox 360 consoles, and I'll be starting with this black one with the hard drive and pulling off the faceplate. Um, with these faceplates, they just snap in, so you can just pull them straight out. This faceplate does have a damaged flap on the front. It has a broken clip. Unfortunately, it came that way. And the way they make those is they're kind of like welded in by plastic. It's no snaps or screws, so when they break, you can't do much about them. And I'm also taking apart all the vents. There are 3 tabs on each side that you need to poke through those holes, and they will release the tabs, and they should pull out fairly easy. These consoles are very dirty, so they are a little sticky. And as I'm going through these consoles, I did want to say that I will not be releasing the complete video of this all at once, mainly because the video is taking me so long to make and work around. I've been busy with other things, and these consoles have really been kind of a lot of time just taking apart and cleaning them and just finding time to do that. This part you can see me doing is I've never taken apart these Xbox 360 consoles. I've seen it on videos a long time ago, and I know they're a pain because they're all clipped in instead of screwed. And the way I'm doing it here is a method I've seen somebody on YouTube do, and I do not recommend this method. And what they were doing was put 2 tools in there, and you kind of pry up, and they should pop out, and they will. But the better technique is to just put one side in, and you want to hook the clip on the inside and pull it out. Right where I'm putting in that pry tool, there's a clip right there. So if you can get that tool on the right, and they do make special tools for this, but if you can get a tool in there and just pull on that clip, it'll pop out a lot easier, and you won't have the struggle that I'm going through. Now this one I'm not too concerned because this top plastic piece is broke. But as you'll see on the other consoles I will be using that same method, which isn't really recommended, but it's I got the job done. But Xbox does make a special tool for taking out these consoles, or at least a third party does. And from what I've seen, they seem to be a lot easier, especially when you get to the clips in the back. Again, with this one, you're going to have 3 clips on either side, and they're not hard to pull out. You'll see some holes that aren't cut out, and the clips are usually right around that area to the left or right, but they're usually there. You pop in a small tool and it'll just push the clip in, pull out. And now that you got the 2 vent covers off on the top and the bottom, you can move on to the front, pulling off the clips. Now these clips you can just do by hand. You can get a tool, but I found that a little harder. It's easier if you just do it with your fingers. You want to kind of lift up at the same time and pull away as you're doing it. And then once you got those pulled apart, you can work on the back side. Now the back side of the Xbox is where that tool comes in handy, because you're going to have, I believe, 4 slits or slots on one side that you put a small tool in, and it'll push a clip out. And then on the other side you'll have 2. Then you'll also have 1 in the middle clipping the Xbox together. So the tricky thing with this is if you don't have the right tool, it just makes it way harder than it needs to. And I did have a section of this Xbox, I believe it's on that end where I'm messing around with, that were just getting hung up on just about every Xbox I got. I could unclip most of them without a big issue, but I had one clip right on the end. For some reason, the plastic part that you push in and it's supposed to pull the clip away, that was bending, but it wasn't removing the clip. So I had to get this at several angles and work it apart, and eventually I was able to. But as you can see, it took me a while, but it did eventually. Once you have the front and back clips apart, you can go ahead and lift up the top cover, and that'll expose the shroud around the circuit board and the hard drive. And we're going to have multiple screws pulling out of here. And after we get the screws out, you'll be able to take off the bottom side of the plastic, and that is held by, I believe, 4 longer screws. And once those are pulled out, you can flip the Xbox upside down and pull the other plastic piece out and take a look at the circuit board. The first 3 consoles I'm going to show you are a little dirty on the inside, not as dirty as I thought they would be. Of course, the heat sinks are pretty dirty, but I'm going to go ahead and speed through the other 2 consoles. You can see me pull them apart, and then on the 4th one, you'll see when I pull the inside of that one apart, it has a lot more damage than the other 3.
So here's the first Xbox. I got it plugged in. I'm using an existing power supply that came with the console, so hopefully the power supply is good. But there you can see my TV's there. Not too sure what inputs it's on. I probably swapped the input, but we'll see what happens here. I have it turned on. Obviously the power supply is good. Got green light and it's connecting. So the only other thing I am going to check is this eject button, and I believe it's here. So eject works. And so far so good. The only other thing I need to do is test the game, so let me grab a game real quick. Okay. Let's go ahead and inject this again. Put a disc in. Sounds like the disc drive is working, and it's pretty loud, but I'm sure it could just be cleaned, and looks like we have a good Xbox. So I'll probably pull this apart and clean it up, and granted this is the cleanest looking Xbox in the pile, but so far out of my $100 pickup of all these consoles, got 1 out of 10 units working. First one. Now, I'm not very optimistic about the last Xbox I opened and cleaned, but so far I can't complain about this one. Let's move on to the next one. Alright, here's the second Xbox. This is the one with all the cobwebs in it, but let's go ahead and see if it starts. There we go, green light. And it looks like I have another 360 that at least turns on. Let's go ahead and eject. I can push the button. And I am not seeing. Oh, there we go. This drive's a little rough. Let's try a disc. Maybe we'll just need to clean this one up. Still says opening, so this one looks like we have kind of a drive issue. Hopefully not a big deal, but we'll see if we can get this thing going. Okay, this is the third Xbox, and of course the first 3 Xboxes were all the black ones. Let's go ahead and put a start on this. There we go, green light, circling, and we have startup. So my goal was to, if I could get 2 working Xboxes out of this batch, that would be pretty amazing, and I was gonna be pretty happy about that. So far it looks like I have 3 Xboxes that work. And this drive seems to be operating a little bit better, a little stutter on the when it was fully extended, but let's see. Kind of stuck a bit, but there we go. And I can hear the disc reading. Of course, I don't have a controller hooked up, and I'm not going to do that until I get everything back together. But took the disc in. The drive probably needs to be serviced a little bit. There we go. Assassin's Creed 2 is loading. So I have two consoles that will turn on, eject, play a disc, and so far I have video output on everything. The second console, of course, the drive is stuck, so I need to take that apart and see if I can solve that issue. But overall, Xbox One and 3 seem to be working just fine, other than maybe some cosmetic and cleaning issues. So let's move on to the fourth one. The fourth one, I am not expecting that one to turn on at all. I'm expecting the red ring of death, actually. Okay, now this is the white Xbox that I think is the arcade edition. This one also had the red X on the outside of the case, and I'm not expecting it to work. And just looking at the inside, this one is completely disgusting. I don't know what this is. I don't know if they spilt some sort of soda on it, and it's kind of rusted. Super dirty. It can be cleaned up, but you know, this one seems to be have been sitting out a lot longer than the other consoles, it looks like, or at least took the most damage, because even on the shielding you can see a lot of rust. But anyways, it does have an HDMI out on this one, so it's not the earliest model, but I think this is still one of the early models. Now I think they have like different drives. This one does have a different hard drive than the other three, but I don't know enough about the different drives, what works with what. I'm pushing the power button on this one and I am getting nothing out of it. So this one may take some troubleshooting. Obviously I'll have to kind of look at the power supply here, or look at the board actually, because the power supply is not an issue because it's right there. So I'm going to have to look in the board, see if I can see anything obvious. I'm not, I don't know a whole lot about these circuit boards. I'll have to do some research on them, but we'll at least take it apart and take a look and see what you guys think. Thank you. Bye.
Now I'm going to go ahead and release this video as it is right now, and I'll release a part 2 with each individual console that I'm working on. The first one will be the Xbox number 1, putting that together, and then each sequential Xbox I'll release after that, as well as the paint job I will do on them. So please stay tuned. I will be releasing a video shortly. Thank you.
Yes, it is. That one's a hen. Hen. I hear. You wrote n, e, n, e, n. You wrote h, n, e. Hen. Oh wow. That's a lot. Your hell is bombing.